Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a new week. This is the last week in July, which is kind of cool. The week ends rather nicely on Friday, and it's just kind of a whoop, it all finishes off real nicely, and the month ends on Friday, and everything just comes to a nice little basket. So, we've got a couple of things on the plate today. We're going to be working on a commission from for Chad, a friend of mine, and we're going to be working on page 119 for Fred. So those are our two things that we're doing today. Going ahead and we can get ourselves started here. So get moving. So here we go. All right. So what I'm working on here is a space dock tug, and we're kind of going to have to work on this. I've made a 3D model for it, kind of make it work here, but I didn't have a top-down view of it. And now that I'm seeing a top-down view, it's a markedly wider thing. So we're going to have to go through and fix a little bit. The side view is fine, but this top view and this front view are going to have to be modified. And I can already tell that. So let's go ahead and turn those off. We're going to take this part right here. We're going to widen it. Oh, that's right. This. And it's just this middle section here, which really needs to be worked on. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to stretch it like this. Right, like that, just like that. There we go. As we usually do on our Mondays, we'll have to get a quick dusting of the monitor. This out here. Monitors being monitors, they gather dust. And my drawing monitor spends a lot of its time angled up. It's not bad. So there we go. Okay, so what we've done is we've just widened that out. Looking at the actual ship itself, looks like good morning, Donald. It's good to see you this morning. We're going to work on this. This is a dock shuttle from the movies, Star Trek movies, and a friend of mine wants to have this dock shuttle designed with Ghostbuster equipment. So I have the most interesting requests sometimes. And that's what we're going to do today. You can go back up onto the eagle here, and I'm going to take a look at. Okay, we're going to take this here. We're just going to. You guys should be hearing the music, right? You guys are hearing music. Let's see if you're hearing music. Can you hear me whenever I switch to this? That's the question. Let's see. Can you hear me whenever I switch to this? That's the question. So you can hear me on the camera's microphone, but you can't hear me on... There we go. So you can hear me on the camera microphone, but again, we can't hear anything from the line in. The line in's turned all the way up. Control phones are all the way up. So there you go. You can hear me here, but you can't hear me. You can't hear the music, and you can't hear the line in. So I'll have to tell them that we didn't have line in sound again. That's rough. Okay, well, so Restream has sort of a problem with the line in switch here. If I switch to line in, it won't take it. But if I switch, I can do it if I remember to do it before the show. So I have to remember to make the switch before the show, and I have to switch every time before the show. So I'm going to tell them, again, this morning I had no music or line in capability, and it fixed whenever I switched to the camera. So, okay, I'm going to get back to work, but I'm going to have to talk loud for you to hear me back there, because the microphone's now right here, and I'm going to be talking facing this way. So there's that. So I might as well move this guy out of the way. I don't need him. So we're going to do our best to make this work. I'll turn my music up. Maybe you can hear the music whenever I do this, because the music's going to keep going. All right, so we're going to be over here on this one. I've got to remember that I did not actually extend this guy out. So we're going to have, so this is going to be the hard one. Hard to do this work. Because this one doesn't get to clone, right? There we go. So what we're doing here is we're going to try to kind of do this in a wide berth sort of way. There we go. And this guy sits under here and just kind of... This is the hardest side. I won't talk myself hoarse, I promise. I used to be on theater and used to be on stage and things like that, so I can use voice training and keep my voice in relatively good shape. It won't be a problem. But I appreciate it. All right, so the undercarriage of this vehicle needs to kind of show here. Like this. And this needs to kind of go out a little bit more. And I'm going to keep kind of pushing it. And this shuttle is supposed to be very wide. A wide shuttlecraft, you know? There we go. There, just like that. I'm going to try to kind of keep this going. Alright, just like this. Just roll up on top there. Hello, Fred. It's good to see you. We'll be working on, you can see, I know you can't see. We'll be working on page 119 a little later on today. It's the one with the fuzzy showing the icon there. You know, if, you know, a horse is a horse, of course, And I actually have dated girls who would more than happily argue with you about being able to talk to a horse. I'm just saying. All right. This is actually back here. I must have made a mistake somewhere on the line on this, because this is not actually here. This is right like this. And this one's going to be, like I said, this is the harder angle to draw. That's why I saved it for last. And so we're just moving along here like this. And so what we're doing here is we're just gonna, man, I'm getting some lag. There we go. I'm gonna take a look again. So there's an under, it looks like the engine struts actually kind of have more like this going for it right here. Back like this. Now, when I use the 3D model to sort of give me a rough idea on this guy, it really is rough. And there is that. Gracie's pregnant. How do you know that? She told me. Okay, he did too much LDS in the 60s. Gotta remember that this is off-centered, so I'm not going to be able to line it up with the actual 3D model, because it is off. That, and go here, do this piece right here, and that'll go back like so. Now we're just putting the straps in to just secure the like the dolphins in So Long and Thanks for All the Fish and Hitchhikers. They're super intelligent. Or the mice. The mice, actually, I think, are probably a better one. I like the fact that the mice are the ones who commissioned the Earth and stuff like that. I swear, there's something about the British culture that allows them such phenomenal ludicrousness. It makes you just wonder. There we go. I'm going to put this little box here. We've got to remember that this box has a pipe that comes out and around like so, which connects to the front of the vessel in some way up here. So just like this. this up here. Now, I don't know if Chad's watching this. Chad, if you're watching this, I need to ask you a question about your starship and whether it has a single photon torpedo bay or a double bay. The ship that he wants to use for this show is based off of the initial concept drawings of the Reliant, which had the warp missiles up on top. But they go through, and instead of having an undercarriage roll bar, it has two torpedo launchers on the underside of the nacelle strut. But there's a little teeny sketch in the upper left-hand corner. I don't know if that cable's armored. I would assume. I am actually not 100% sure that this is an atmospherically capable shuttle. I'm just saying. So. Anyway, I need to know whether I got an app that allows me to check my pages on Facebook, but for some reason it won't let me respond. So I may have to actually break down and go back to Facebook to check this page. I don't want to do that. Actually didn't turn out bad. There we go. Let's take that away, and let's take a look at our Trident. So, I'm not sure where I'm going to plug that cable in. He's obviously going forward to this section right up here. So, I'm going to put that right here. An outlet right here. And I'm going to do the same thing right here because we need to show that cable coming out and getting put into this outlet over here, which I think is somewhat hysterical, actually. I have a feeling that this game is not exactly supposed to be the most played with the most straight of faces. There we go. Probably won't see that cable from this side, but you might. Let's try to draw like this. Right there. That's working. Huh. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I also feel like these guys might be this. Speaking, since you made me think of the nacelles down here. There we go. This feels more like what we wanted. That looks more like what we're after for this guy. Okay, so this is the rough draft right here on this guy. And I'm going to let it sit for a day. Cable sits out. I'm going to let this sit for a day before I move on to the next level. I like to let things sit sometimes. That way I get a fresh start on it. I also don't sketch when I come back in on this. So if I were to draw it right now, I might really have a problem kind of getting in there and sketching. So I wanna let it sit. I'm gonna a couple of clean up pieces here, but then I'm gonna set myself up for success, right? And that's what we're after here. Oh, sure. And this could be an earlier version or a later version. We don't know. We don't know. But from this view, one thing I am feeling is that this needs to be a little further back. Right? Let's do now. Forgetting to fix this part. That looks a little bit better. Right? It's a little stretched out there. Just to give it a little bit more length. And then I'll just come in here and quickly kind of fix this and fix that. There we go. Like this. And then round that off. Just like that. There. I feel like this was sort of the it was supposed to be sort of the derivative ancestor of the Type F shuttle. You know? So I feel like it could. Right? Alien ghosts. Now we've hit a level. There's a whole level in here. Where we hit alien ghosts. Okay. So, kind of going back through all of this, one of the things we're going to do now is I'm just going to save as. And it doesn't need to be there. It needs to be over in this folder. Shuttle. No. And we'll clear that. Okay, now we're working on page 119. This should be a relatively fast piece. So this is something we work on for Fred. We got Fred's piece kind of going here. Right? Well, the Cobra and the Apache both have such a wonderfully colorful history as far as aircraft go. It's such a kick out of those two. All right. So what we've got here is this is a Wuzzy character that is lifting up his shirt to show he's got this icon painted on him. And I did sort of an underdrawing here to kind of give just an idea of what was going on. But looking at it, I kind of feel like, first of all, I'm going to change the comic view too. So I'm just having some real problems there with the eraser. Anyway, so okay, now we're moving on to this resi. Why does this switch tools to brush and eraser? I don't want it to switch tools between brush and eraser. It's I can't pick up the color. Every so often, Adobe will do a thing which just aggravates me. Yeah, it does kind of look like a weird battle scar. And actually, now that you mention that, that's kind of what I kind of imagined would be going on. Is this guy's like, ha 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 ha, look at my battle scar, right? Right? Because I mean, he's like, he's all proud to be inducted into the Psy Hall of Fame here. So we're gonna just kind of fix this a little bit here because I've been kind of feeling like this guy original is looking like, oh, what did I do? But really, he should be doing the ha ha, you know, ha ha ha. He's all excited. So I'm gonna put his hands here as he sort of lifts his shirt up like this. And then we'll put this, because I like this a whole lot better. It's like, yeah, he's all funny. Cat muzzles it is. I'm wondering why you're replying to yourself, Fred, but you're replying to yourself. I'm just saying. I'm also easily entertained. So, I'm kind of feeling more mobile here. I'm feeling like this is much more of a better sketch, right? I'm gonna kind of do that. And actually, what I think I might do is one more sketch on this. Because I like it better. So there's some pencil in here. Right? Sometimes I like to do a few sketches like this. Better. There the shirt just kind of binding up right here. There we go. And then make this kind of have a little bit of a bow to it. Maybe not too much of a mud zone. Right? We don't want it to be that much of a muzzle. Let's bring up the book. Now look at some of the other artwork in here. This takes a second. All right. That and that. And nothing. And that's a poke. And a wuzzy. There we go. Maybe more like a chimpanzee. I don't know. But I can see where we've got more like a chimpanzee's muzzle. Adorable. I'm doing something evil. Oh, hey, yeah. Donald, nothing like telling them that. Just go to their webpage and tell them that stuff because they love those things, those ideas. And then moving along here. We need to make sure that his shirt shows up behind him like this. Looks kind of like a Muppet at this point in time. Well, that's awesome. I think that's great. Usually these pods sort of hanging down like so. I am glad that I inspired an idea, my friend. Creativity is what this is all about. He's got bigger fangs than I thought. There we go. I agree. Wuzzies are great. How much room do I have up here? Quite a bit of room, actually. And let's use that to our advantage, shall we? Now we'll pull that guy out. Let's shrink this down. Give him more room to be used wisely. Okay. Get down that. Let's get in here. Let's top him at the top of his head up here. Which might be a little more like this. And this coming out like this. More like that. We'll straighten it out. Hey, artists are heroes too. And it's more where the eyes are. Like this. It's like a Wuzzy kid here. Let's not do that. Let's bring this around. Like this. It's like Mantis. In a lot of ways. There we go. Get everything under here. Having real problems there. I'm trying to erase stuff and it's not erasing. All right. Make these lines a little bigger. There we go. Yeah, bald wuzzies do look creepy. We're just straightening out the anatomy. Another step that I routinely have to do here. Straighten out the anatomy. Okay. Also want to straighten this out. I want it to look more like he's surprised. Like, wow. So I'm going to make this kind of bump up to give like the impression that his eyebrows are raised. That's what we kind of want. I'm aggravated. The edge has decided to open up. All right. Now he looks more like he's got maybe. I feel like I want to kind of bring this, even though these huge eyes are fun. I think I want to bring this in a little. There we go. Gigi Edgley? Not Gigi Edgley. Because there was the lady who played Talia Winters. She was a stunt person. That's what she also did. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. But she played a couple of characters she played one specific character on Next Gen because she was a stunt coordinator, and so she was always in security because they could throw her around, and she was trained to take it, and so they, as you might imagine, they loved that. So she, I know she was in, but I'm not. I know she was in Babylon 5, but I'm not sure that she was in Farscape. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen all of Farscape yet. There's only so many hours in the day. So I'm still working my way through Farscape, which is cool. But I'm still real early on. So if she came in later, I wouldn't know that. I love living ship design concept. I'm just going to straighten these out. Again, I'm working with the anatomy here. I like the idea that these are somewhat prehensile. Oda was not a lady. Now I'm confused. You mean the shapeshifter? Oh. The female changeling from Deep Space Nine. She was on Babylon 5 and Farscape, huh? Yes. Um, and I interviewed her once, and I cannot now, for the life of me, remember her name, and I feel really bad. Not Gigi, actually, because I interviewed her too. It was. Ah, come on! I can almost see it. Um, see her name. I'll remember it. Well, I hate to say this, Donald, but hi back. I'm Dad. I can't help myself. It's it's in the contract, you understand. I love the idea that these things are somewhat reconciled. Claudia Black. That's her. I don't think she was ever in Star Trek. That's not true. She was in Star Trek. She was, but she was in. I want to say she was in Enterprise because I remember how excited we all were when we saw her. Except that I think she may not have been in Enterprise. Go look it up. All you guys who are able to Google stuff. Yes, she's Australian. That's correct. A lot of people in Farscape were Australian. There we go. Let's see. I can bring it down. It doesn't need to be that big. There we go. Just like this. So we're just. I'm putting in the Psy icon. Yep, she was in the Beastmaster TV show. That's correct. I remember that. Right. Ooh, right there. Here's what we're doing. There. Rogue Orion Captain. So I was reading last night. I was reading the consolidated James Blish Star Treks. You can buy that at Barnes and Noble now as a leather bound, or I guess it's a fake leather bound hardback, which is wonderful, and I love it. It's perhaps my favorite of all of the things that I own. It's the original series as adapted by James Blish, and I was reading the original novelization he wrote of the cage. And you speak about the Orion Captain. I have often said, of all of the PG or R-rated things that they have added to Star Trek, the one thing that they have not added that I think actually would have fit was nudity. And the reason I say that is because I swear that that was the original intention behind the Orion Slave Girls. And reading the James Blish adaptation of The Cage, he writes that when Vina turns into a slave girl, she's not wearing a single thing. And so it just verifies that some script iteration in there had that, where Vina was just completely naked. And that, I think, was what he was after, what Roddenberry was after with the Orions in the first place. So you'd have to convince Claudia Black of that. Anyway, I've often said, of all the things we have decided to break tradition with in Star Trek, the one that I think would have fit fine, but didn't get put in there because it's interesting how our society is, was nudity. Just a side thought. Reading that novelization last night made me go, I knew it was in the script somewhere. All right. There we go. This here is bigger than bigger here. It doesn't need to be. Yeah, I really, that's one of the things I really enjoyed about Enterprise's interpretation of the Orions, because they twisted it. You know, the Orion slave girls aren't slaves at all, and I love that. I love the. It's so funny. I remember hating Enterprise so much when it came out, and now looking back on it, it's actually a really good addition to the Star Trek lore. I'm pretty happy with where we're going here with this guy. Right? I mean, he looks pretty. Well, sure. And even today, you couldn't get away with showing a completely naked person, even if they were painted in green. It's another one of my aggravations with our culture. Insides are more acceptable than outsides. If you blew the person up into little bits, you could show that on TV, but not if they're naked, but they're all whole together. It's such a weird world we live in. Okay, so here's what we're going to have. I think we can rattle this guy out. Have him ready by the time we clear the top of the hour. This is another one of my big pet peeves. And I hope to goodness that when you guys join me when we start doing Bellatrix Rising, you'll tolerate the fact that I'm not going to back down from that. Okay, now our little Wuzzy guy here is pretty cute and showing some funny stuff going on here. So we're going to go ahead and ink this in. So let's talk about this guy. Let's get a good inking pen. 2 is one of the best. We're just going to cute little chubby face. Cherubby face. It's a little smaller. So we're going to do some correction to this, but only minor correction. We'll come around here, we'll do the ear. There we go. Oh yeah, the Andorians. Shran. Gotta love Shran. And anything that Jeffrey Combs does. But Jeffrey Combs is one of those you never know where he's going to show up sort of actors. Jeffrey Combs, of course, was Brunt. Brunt. F-C-A. He couldn't really get over his teeth, but he was Brunt from Deep Space Nine, and he was the Vorta, the one Vorta that was worried about getting cloned, and then he was Shran, and every part he played was just gold, just gold. Jeffrey Combs is great. Wuzzies being fuzzies mean that I have lots of this going on for most of this picture. Now I see them less as a cat and more as an ape or a chimp. Right? I think that's exactly where this comes from. Okay, I'm going to bring bring up his shoulder just a little up here because I want more of a action, So his shoulder's coming up and his elbows are going to be coming up. That. This guy is straight on. So you'll be able to see that he's got his shirt caught in it like this. Just like that. Bring this over. Sure. And back down. Since the fuzzies are wuzzies. This. Some line work there. He's got a belt in his pants here. He's very proud of it. Very, very, very proud of it. Yeah, it may be a bald belly, but it's not going to be a bald sides of the stomach, right? The belly is bald, but the rest of this out here is definitely furry. Yep. That's like he was saying, that's where the name comes from, is that poem. Although these guys do, in fact, have hair. Is it? Well, no, the drawing here is kind of hard to. Kind of hard to see. Right here, give him just a little bit of fuzz right here. He's a kid, so I'm assuming he's still growing his adult fuzz. That just sounds good. All right. do love the fact that I never run out of ink. That's one thing that's wonderful about digital. I never run out of ink. Just doing this here. And this is just to give some highlight to him. There we go. Uh, all right. I'm just kind of bring this along like this. Just trying to kind of help out here. And all we're trying to do here is just make it so that the background's not an option here, not something you're staring at. It also gives a little bit more drama when you're looking at the page. It's the stark contrast here. Kind of still feeling like his eyes are weird. Like this eye right here. There we go. One thing I am feeling here is I'm feeling like it's still way too rough looking to me. Not with things like this fur right here. Just thinning some of these lines out. Looks like it was drawn by a 4-year-old, I swear. Sometimes the lines are too thick. And that's what we're fixing here. We're going to fix some of these thick lines. Got too heavy-handed with some of this line work. So we're just going to have to go back through here and just fix it. Like this. This is why it doesn't, even though it looks like we were about to be done, we're not. So we'll go back through and just kind of trim down some of these lines. Through here, right? I'm still perfecting how to craft a line with a digital pen. I feel like I'm still kind of coming in still a little heavy-handed, more than I want to be on this. It's not quite as soft and nice as I want it to be. Hi, Brent. Yep, we're working on Afterworlds again here. We got Fred online. He's helping. Oh, but I already closed it. I was going to show you my transfer shuttle that I did earlier today, which was a shuttle from the movie era of Star Trek, the TOS movies. That's sort of important. I have a smaller brush set up here for this. So this. There we go, just like that. And we're having audio problems again today, so I'm on the ground mic over here. So I know that it's hard to hear me. But yeah, it's a so we're working on Fred's thing here, and we're working on his characters he calls Wuzzies. So he has a real fun universe. I really enjoy kind of the structure of his world. It's kind of funny. Not funny, haha, but entertaining. I really enjoy it. There we go. So I'm just trying to clean up some of these things. There we go. There. Now it looks a lot nicer and cleaner. It could be the Trek Church. I love that Futurama had a Trek religion. Especially since if I consider myself religious anyway, that's probably the closest religion I've got. All right. There we go. All right, moving right along here, we're kind of all I'm doing here is just straightening this out. Trying to clean these up. They look a little bit like Ferengi ears here to me. So I want to make sure that we've got it doesn't look like Ferengi ears. go. Just kind of correcting this here. There. Like that. You did raise her right, Brent. Good job. I appreciate that. There we go. Good. I'm trying to decide whether I should shrink it down just a little bit more. Just so it doesn't fill this space entirely, right? I mean, it's just a little bit smaller than that. Okay. Let's do some minor repair. Right through here. We're going to have to do some work through here like this. There we go, just like this. And we're just going in and straightening up some of this artwork. Because it's not quite at the level that I want. A lot of messages. Fred wants you all to know that he's currently way out in the middle of Nowheresville. So I'm assuming that's in case you lose him while talking about this interesting topic of his. Because he does have a fascinating topic where he's talking about his race of penguins in the DVD. I think what he's trying to say, though, is that he's currently in the middle of Nowheresville. So there may or may not be, he may or may not run a service. Now what I'm doing is I'm just adding out here. There we go, just like this. I'm actually going to go ahead and back this off. I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to put more of this kind of fuzz out here. I feel like that is not helping me by having that line right there, kind of threatening the top here. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put in See you later, Brent. It was good having you on board. His daughter, Brent's daughter, is about the same age as my son. So, roughly about 9, 10, 11-ish, right in that area. I keep thinking the two of them should hang out. And just geek out about stuff. They're both geeky. They're both into Star Wars. I'm trying to get my kid into Star Trek. He's still more of a Star Wars guy, which is all right. This household, we're non-denominational. There we go. Oh, gotcha. Well, if you are in the restroom for more than 15 minutes, Donald, then goodbye, and I'll see you later. Yes, I agree. The animated series of Star Trek is great for introducing kids to it. I also think Lower Decks will be good for that, too. I can already say that I just seeing the 1 minute of Lower Decks that was released a couple of days ago, my kid was laughing hysterically with it. So, theoretically, I think Lower Decks will be a good introduction to the next gen world of Star Trek. So, I'm looking forward to Lower Decks for all kinds of reasons. Just because I don't mind all Star Trek is good Star Trek in my book, and I really don't care. So, I will happily watch Lower Decks and be just as entertained as before. So there's that. So we'll put that out there. And also, there we go. Well, I have taken the picture over here of this Wuzzy and put it over here on this guy. I feel like his mouth could probably come forward a little bit more here. It'd probably be fine. More like this. Because he's got not quite, well, no, he has more of a chimpanzee's mouth, which is this overriding lip. Like that. Right, more like that. It's more of this forward muzzle going in here. Yeah, muzzle, just like you were saying. We'll give him a little of that muzzle. We don't want to give too much, it'll make him old. We don't want to do that. We can just give him a little bit like this. Kind of. There we go. Just a little. I feel like it's also slightly off center. Let's get in there and center this guy. Like, I'm having a problem with his little mouth being somewhat off center. Really aggravated they changed the nature of my. So I got an update on Photoshop last night. And it looks like they've fixed some tool pieces so that they don't go the same direction anymore, and that's somewhat disconcerting. They did that to me before, and I am still having a problem with it. And it's funny how much little things mess up your workflow. Mutations can be slightly off-center, but we try to make everything symmetrical so that people don't feel like things are. It doesn't look. It has to look somewhat symmetrical, otherwise we do look weird. So, now I'm looking at this piece, and actually this is starting to come along real nicely. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and put the signatory brush right here. Nope. Use a brush for this thing. Like that. Put this. Make this smaller. There. I feel like that piece is just fine. Come over here. We'll change our spotlight so that I can do pull this away. Flatten the piece. Fill this underdrawing. I feel like that's a good piece. That's going to look good on the page. I feel like that looks fine. So I'll call this page done. And we'll trim it down and we'll save it. There we go. And that puts 119 off my list, which is great. And I'll look back over here. 120 is the school bus. That's going to be, I need to render a school bus. I mean, we need to have a school bus in there because that was becoming, that's a mess. 121. We got a few of these pieces here which look like, well, I don't know. Like 109's done. So yeah, I'm just looking over all the pieces here to see how done we are with everything. And oh yeah. There we go. We can talk a little bit about for the last, we've got only a handful of minutes left. Not enough time to really start anything new. But we can talk a little bit about a term that I'm curious about what you think, Fred. So we've got, I need to come up with the 4 cardinal directions used in Bellatrix Rising. And so what we've got here is we have coreward and edgeward. That makes sense, right? Towards the core of the galaxy and towards the edge of the galaxy. I feel like spinward is okay. It's going in the spin of the galaxy rotates this way. So anything heading this way around the galaxy is heading into the spin. But then I was thinking, I need the alternate of that. And leeward seemed to be okay. I didn't want to use anti because nobody uses anti. You'd end up being, that seems like that's anti-spinward. People would think, what? You said spinward? They were going spinward? No, anti-spinward. Spinward? I think that'd be confusing. That's one of the reasons why our 4 cardinal directions sound different, is so you can, left and right aren't left and luft, because people would get confused as to what you were trying to say. So the directions the words tend to be very specific. Yeah, well, that's why I'm specifically not going anti-spinward, because then it'd be, turn us spinward. Anti-spinward? No, spinward. Spinward? Spinward. Spinward? Everybody get really confused. So we tend to use words that don't just have the same word in it. So it'd be spin, lee, edge, and core. That's where I was headed. Counter? Counter might work. Counter, though, starts with a C, which core also starts with a C. So you couldn't have the four cardinal directions just represented by its initial capital letter. So that would be kind of a... You'd have S, E, C, and C on your... So it'd be like... And I kind of like... So what do we think about leeward? Do we think that that's not... that seems that'd be acceptable? I don't know. I did add, while you're thinking these things up, I added lanes in here, which is kind of fun. Some of the names for the lanes. You get in here close enough, you can kind of see Prometheus and the vein. Veins go one way, arteries go the other. Vesta and broken Regulus. And the reason it's broken Regulus is because it doesn't actually, once it passes through the Regulus gateway, it gets all screwed up heading into Sol. Which is not to be confused with Lucent Primary, which is very, very straight. And it heads all the way out. And actually, I think Lucent Primary ends up all the way here at the end of the it's called Sagittarius A because it's in the Sagittarius constellation. So they call it Sagittarius. They either call it Sagittarius Prime. I've seen it with the asterisk to indicate that it's a prime. Leeward does imply shelter. So that's a good... That's sort of why I'm still kind of... because the opposite of spin is anti-spin. And that's not useful at all. I don't want to use anti-spin if I can avoid it. So, kind of do want to come out with a better name than anti-spin. Leeward does imply shelter, and I'm willing to change it. It's got to have three things that we've got to do. It's got to not sound like the other three directions. It can't start with the same letter. So leeward, though, is also the opposite of spin, or of windward. Windward and leeward. That's where I kind of got it from. My thought is when they deploy hypersails, the sails for their ships that pull them along, that's in the wind that they're fighting is generally the gravitational sweep of the galaxy as the galaxy moves along and pulls all these stars in one direction. So you would have a windward, which would be towards the spin of the galaxy. And so that's where the leeward comes from for me. I was thinking you'd have the wind, all going towards spin, and then you'd have this lee behind them where you're like, that's the not the wind sort of thing. That's where I'm kind of headed for on this one. I'll have to think about it. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things to think about. I'm kind of pondering. Are you pondering what I'm pondering, Pinky? And that's sort of a thing that I'm thinking of here. So, well, we're almost out of coffee. That means the show must be over, right? That's how you know the show's over. We're out of coffee. Halfway through the show. This is warning, we're getting kind of low here. This is more towards the top of the show. Okay, guys. It was great having you guys with me today. I'm glad that I finished another page for Fred. That makes me happy. And I'm sure it makes Fred happy too. So I'm going to go ahead and head on out of here. And I will see you all tomorrow morning at the same time. and we can get back to work on even more of this stuff, because I think I've got even more pictures for Fred that need to be done. Against the current. Against the current. Because, see, that's where I went last night, too, was with tack. Like tacking in some way. I'll look up against the current and get back with you. Because that might not be a bad term, too. It might be, because that's why I'm kind of bringing this up, is I'm with you on I don't know, is Lee the right word for it? So, okay, cool. Well, then, I will see y'all later on, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.